Where'd You Go? Bernadette is now in theaters, and this is the latest Richard Linklater film. For those of you who don't know, Richard Linklater is the director that gave us Boyhood, the Before trilogy, School of Rock, Dazed and Confused, and many more. He's a director that I personally like. I still need to watch all of his movies before doing a ranking list, but I've seen most of his movies, and he seems like a pretty good director. And Where'd You Go, Bernadette, though, I'll be honest, I wasn't really looking forward to it because of the premise. The premise is simple. It's about a loving mom who becomes compelled to reconnect with her creative passions. Now, based on the trailers, it just kind of seemed, and I don't know. I was just kind of like, it didn't really fully connect with me based on the trailer. I was like, I don't know. But walking out of the movie, I have to say, this was actually a surprisingly enjoyable movie. I was not expecting to like this movie, even though I like Richard Linklater, but this was actually an enjoyable movie. I mean, the acting across the board is great. You have Cate Blanchett playing Bernadette. She's great. Absolutely incredible. Billy Crudup as the husband's really good. Kristen Wiig as the neighbor that clearly doesn't get along with Cate Blanchett's character. Really interesting. This movie is also very funny. I personally think I had a good laugh throughout the duration of the movie. There was a lot of humor that I really liked. And I also think that the cinematography is very well done in this movie. And that's kind of a surprise because, don't get me wrong, Richard Linklater knows how to film his movies, but he usually has that like indie vibe. And when I say indie vibe, I mean that it feels very like on the go, almost like guerrilla warfare type filmmaking style. And that's fine. I like it. I think it's good. But this, it definitely felt more color graded. Like there was a lot of color grading and a lot of filters that were really well utilized, which is part of the color grading process, but it's just a real big surprise because most of his movies just don't really feel like they have a filter to it. And I think I kind of liked that because it was a different approach. I like when a director does something that kind of feels outside of the box. And I think Where'd You Go, Bernadette actually kind of feels that way because Richard Linklater does a good job directing this movie. I think he has a feeling of these characters, and you really do get to care about these characters and everything that they're going through. There are a couple really emotional moments throughout the movie that I think really worked with propelling the characters to getting from point A to B. Now, it's not a perfect movie, though. I do like a decent amount of this movie, but I do think it's still, unfortunately, very flawed because as much as I really like this movie, and trust me, I did really much so enjoy this movie, especially the message, because the message is, as you saw from the premise of what I said, it's about someone that's reconnecting with their artsy side, about how they're in a rut and they're trying to find themselves again. That's a message that is always really connected with me, and it's very personal, I think, because I love it. It's just, not going to get into details, but I just love it. And I think this movie does a good job at depicting it. However, I do think that there were some cliches along the way, and I get it that with movies, there are some times where movies mess with cliches. But at the same time, how you deal with those cliches, if you do it in a fresh and invigorating way, then you forget the fact that you've seen those kind of scenes multiple times. And unfortunately, with Where'd You Go, Bernadette, there were cliches, but it's kind of, well, not kind of, it's not really hidden, especially towards the end of the movie. And it's a shame because I feel as though if you're able to hide them, it really does help you stay in tune with the movie. But unfortunately, it didn't. Towards the end, I wasn't really fully invested. Also, I do have to say that tonally, I think that although I found this movie funny and it did have some nice dramatic beats, I do think tonally speaking, it wasn't fully even. And the second act, I'd say, was a bit wonky. Like, it wasn't fully propelling the plot forward. The first half, the first act, I should say specifically, I think is the strongest part. But I do think that second act is a bit wonky, and I do think, again, tonally speaking, it's not the most coherent. But that being said, I still think that this is a very enjoyable movie. I think that if you do give Where'd You Go, Bernadette a shot, it's an enjoyable movie. If you look at it as like an existential comedy, I think you'll appreciate it. If you're going in expecting a fantastic movie that's going to blow you away, this isn't that movie. It's a very simple premise. It's just done with the ease of Richard Linklater. He does a great job with this movie. And that's why, for me personally, Where'd You Go, Bernadette, I'll be giving it a 3.25 out of 5-star rating, which was like a hot sauce rating. It's the good old Frank's Red Hot Wing Sauce. It's an okay movie. It's a movie that I know, based on everything I was saying, that would be expecting a higher rating, but I think that the flaws do kind of weigh down the movie. I think that this is a movie that could have had a little bit more tuning up to make it like a good movie. But nonetheless, I'd still give it a light recommendation. It's harmless, and if anything, if you stumble across this movie and start watching it, again, there's some enjoyable moments and emotional moments too. But I don't know if I'll remember this in a couple weeks. But for right now, I enjoyed it. So, guys, what did you think of Where'd You Go, Bernadette? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. And like I said earlier in the video, I'm planning to do Richard Linklater's list of movies worst to best. Once I've seen all his movies, right now I'm still handling other directors with watching all their work, so it's a process, so bear with me. But what's your favorite Richard Linklater movie, guys? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. And as always, don't forget the subscription, notification bell, and I'll catch you guys later.